Good morning. Thanks for coming so early for the panel. It's really early for me. Yeah, so I would like to do like a quick run of their intro first, but before that, I would like to know who from the audiences are currently building projects and racing. Can you raise your hand if you are racing or building projects? Okay, we have a few hands. Can you raise your hands if you're also a VC or angel investors? So, okay, yeah, so we can know we are talking to. Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I think we can do a quick run of what your each respective ventures are focusing on. What's your mandate? What's your, say, what are you guys looking for right now? And who should be reaching out to you after this panel? Yeah, I'll start from Jay.
Yeah. Hi, Tess. Yep, so I'm Jay, principal at Gate Ventures, right? So Gate Ventures is the VC arm of Gate Exchange, right? You can say that we are a CVC in a sense. So currently we are running 2 funds. Our first fund, we invest out of our balance sheet, and our second fund, we do have external LP capital as well. So across 2 funds, we manage about 120 million in AUM, and are pretty flexible on the ticket size. You know, we can do both token and equity, and with check sizes ranging from 100K up to 10 million. Yeah, so pretty flexible across the investment structure and the token and the rounds as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Daryl.
Hi, so I'm Daryl, the general partner at TRIVE Digital. So we are an early stage crypto fund. Back in 2015, we started out as a technology fund based out of APAC. And then in 2021, we decided to kind of invest into crypto. And then last year itself, we have a fully dedicated crypto fund. So right now we have a flagship fund that does technology investing, and another one that does digital frontier investing, which is focusing on AI and crypto itself. And in terms of our ticket size, we usually invest anywhere between 50K to 250K. And I like to say that sometimes we're hilariously early because most of the time the investment that we made and what they evolve into are never the same thing. So that's kind of like us itself. And so we really like to invest in teams and founders. In fact, that's kind of like 80% of what we focus on. So if you're fundraising, and I think right now my focus is really on DeFi and AI, please look for me after this. Yeah.
Okay, Alan.
Hi everyone, Alan Leong. I'm actually co-founder and managing partner of Hesperian Ventures and also co-chair of the Berkeley Skydeck FinTech and blockchain track. So if you're not aware, Skydeck is UC Berkeley's incubator and accelerator. We incubate and accelerate about 200 startups, about probably small percentages on the fintech and blockchain side. And then of the 20, we put in 200,000 investment for 2.3 million valuation. Hesperian Ventures is a ventures as a service firm, and then we also run a syndicate. Average check size is 100,000 up to $500,000 early stage.
Thank you, guys. I have my first question for Alan. Yeah, so I think Berkeley is like the very center of all the innovation and new trends, etc. Can you enlighten us with the trends you are seeing? And I also read that currently the CS students, the new graduates, they are struggling finding jobs because it's all replaced by AI. Yeah, can you also give some color on that?
Yeah, so I guess the color is, unfortunately, I think it is a reality. And AI is basically, unfortunately, there's a big impact on every industry, especially new college graduates in the CS. But with that said, I think it's a new model of AI plus human. So things that AI will do well, it will continue to do so. And then I think there's probably an adjustment that new graduates and students will need to kind of the refocus. But I mean, it is a reality.
Yeah, thank you. And my next question for Jay. I think from Gate GVC, you will definitely see a lot of deal flows. And how does AI play its role in like screening the deal flow? Like, do you leverage any AI tool to screen through the GitHub or the growth activities and etc.? Yeah, how does it enable your work?
Right, so I think AI is pretty interesting when it's used in conjunction with early stage investing. Right, so I think we have shifted from a more of an intuitive, gut feel approach to that of data augmented conviction when it comes to investing. So I think there's several AI tools that we can use to help our investment process, right? So firstly, if you look at what you mentioned, your first point, right, code and development, tracking, stuff like that, I think historically, when VCs look at, GitHub repos, Jira repos, stuff like that, we usually count our number of commits, right? We look at the code base, whether it's copy and pasted from elsewhere. So there are softwares that we can use to actually verify this code, check whether they are robust, check whether the commits are meaningful. For example, Athenian, right? You can screen all these codes out, check whether there is any code dependencies. Or you can use software like CodeSense, right? So CodeSense allows you to basically track whether a large majority of the code is dependent on a single contributor, stuff like that, right? So you sort of know whether there's any risk in the code or whether there's any innovation in the actual code itself, right? And secondly, if you look at the social layer, right, we look at Telegram, look at Discord, a lot of times when we make an investment, tracking these metrics are pretty important, right? Number of followers on Twitter, Discord, Telegram, stuff like that. But we also want to weed out, we also want to pass out quality over quantity, right? We don't want, a project with tons of bots and stuff like that. So there's a lot of softwares that we can use as well. For example, CrowdTangle can help to differentiate engagement on Twitter, Reddit, stuff like that. We can also use Nansen AI, which helps to track genuine on-chain activity, or helps to check whether there's any strange things going on, like wallet clustering, pump and dump events, stuff like that. And of course, last but not least, we can also use various custom-made Telegram or Twitter bots to weed out users that are not real, basically, right? And following which, on the tokenomics side of things, there's also softwares to help track whether tokenomics are robust, help to simulate different kind of scenarios to see whether these tokenomics can hold up in the event of a crash or significant long-tail event, right? So, for example, Gunlet, they have agent-based systems to basically do scenario analysis on the project's tokenomics. So it's a bit different, right? Historically, we look at token supply, vesting schedules as VCs, but with this softwares in place, it gives us sort of like a forward-looking sort of outlook, right, to help us better do our risk assessment, right? And of course, last but not least, looking at the team. Whenever we do investments, sometimes there's a lot of pseudo-anonymity going on in crypto, right? For example, if you look at my picture, I'm like an elephant, right? So if you haven't met me before, you don't really know like who I am, who am I, right? So you can use softwares like Grata AI or Pip AI. You can somewhat track the founders' networks, track their credibility, which companies they come from previously, and also basically flag out any red flags when it comes to the claiming of identity, right? Let's say if I claim that I'm a certain person, you can actually check whether it's true or not, right? So all these things actually tie back to our investment process. I wouldn't say that it is replacing the investor's intuition, but rather, going forward, this will be like the new normal in terms of identifying better projects. Yeah.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up. So is there any difference, like, that's things that you didn't see before, like those AI tools existing, but you were able to see with their presence?
Right, I think I think it does help to see some tail risks, right? For example, on the economic modeling side of things, you can definitely show us various scenarios. Of course, you can do the same thing using Excel, right? Monte Carlo simulation, stuff like that. But of course, AI helps to make it easier and helps to give, even scenarios that you wouldn't have thought of yourself, right? So I think using AI helps to cover more ground when it comes to making decisions so that you don't miss out on anything because, humans are notoriously bad at spotting tail-end risks, right? So AI helps with that portion, yeah.
So my next question for Daryl, do you see any new category that's emerging, like prior to AI it doesn't exist, but now with its enablement?
I think there are new categories, but it's also come to a point where essentially every single project that I've seen, you inevitably have to integrate AI one way or another, right? If you're talking about new categories, it's like decentralized AI network or verifiable on-chain data sets, because obviously the combination of AI and blockchain is taking the trustless open network of blockchain itself and AI's needs for immense amount of data to kind of train the algorithms itself. So that's kind of like some of the I would say new markets that we've seen in terms of AI and blockchain itself. But if we're talking about like generally in the blockchain space, I think you have to integrate AI somehow. So I think, let's just say, because right now I'm really big into DeFi, right? With look into like yield aggregators itself, where it sounds kind of simple, where they basically just take your stables and then they route it through an AI network to kind of find out which protocol has generates the highest yield, and then kind of like park your stable over there and kind of farm the liquidity pool. And then if it kind of crosses a certain threshold, or it kind of touches on certain risk itself, and then it kind of switches or manages the liabilities or the risk for you. So I would say that essentially you've come to a point where if you are a blockchain project, you have to kind of implement it one way or another. And it's okay, I think for us, like if you're using a wrapper, because most of the time you won't build your model. Like I think one of the biggest things that we've seen as well is people trying to claim that they build their own damn model, and I'm like, you don't have the talent because they're like, I think Twitter has shown like how expensive AI talent is these days. So I think most of the time what we're looking at for AI crypto projects is whether or not if you're able to kind of acquire a significant market share, what's your go-to-market strategy, and whether or not your product is able to meet a certain need itself, and not necessarily whether or not you're building like a really great model. So that's kind of like at least how we're looking at the market right now.
Alan, you were nodding really hard earlier.
Yeah, new categories. Yeah, so I guess I'll see blockchain for trust, immutability, AI as sort of the new discovery like engine, especially in the investment space. So like everything that we're looking at is kind of looking at even at the VC workflow, and then can we actually leverage AI technology for just imagine like hundreds of crypto startups like on one side from accelerators, etc., and then using AI as investor matching based on investment thesis with crypto in different areas. The second is building crypto AI analysts, right? Where like you're not only just looking at like the pitch deck, but then also looking at alternative like data, doing the validation. A lot of the stuff like the analysts are doing in terms of manually looking at it, helping speed up the diligence, right? And then you get the human involved to still do the with the founder, the relationship, but looking at that, and then leveraging AI also on the portfolio management and the allocation is kind of what I'm seeing. So it's really, at the end of the day, it's convergence actually of AI, blockchain, and also IoT in terms of pulling up the data, and then leveraging the technology, right, to optimize driving efficiency and doing what AI does best, right?
So your deal flow mostly comes from like the students. Am I correct? Or also outside of school?
No. So that's probably like a misconception. Actually, 80% of the founders are actually global founders, and they're not all UC Berkeley students or founders.
So they also doesn't have to be an alumni or anything?
They do not. Mm-hmm. It's the UC Berkeley Skydeck is open to all founders globally. Okay,
but from all your deal flow, like how many is like kind of like AI trying to integrate blockchain versus like blockchain that adopt AI? Yeah, which side started first, or which side has like a higher ratio, or it's like well blended into each other?
I would say, there's like pure like AI startups. Actually, that's a large percentage of, let's say, the cohorts. But now we're seeing like blockchain-based projects that are adopting like AI, right? So like I think you mentioned like AI and DeepIn, right? So like leveraging it for decentralized compute, decentralized storage, and then they build AI on top of it, right? So to drive efficiency and allocation. So I think it's kind of a little both.
Yeah, because I also have this conception that like for AI people, like also like Daryl mentioned earlier, like AI people are super expensive right now, and how many like top AI talents are actually building in blockchain, or can blockchain actually hire like top tier AI talent? I think this question is open for all, like if any of you want to answer.
I don't think it's more about hiring AI talent. It's more of Do you know even how to utilize AI? So the biggest problem right now is people are talking about AI, just throwing this, like a buzzword. But in reality, if you look into how you're using it, that's the biggest question, right? So it's not about whether or not you have good talent or if you're good tech. Is okay if you're implementing AI into your product itself, as a feature or as part of your product itself. Why do you need it? What is it actually enhancing? And is it benefiting you right now? Because AI can cause hallucinations, right? So, and it might backfire on you. So, implementing AI might actually be bad for some industries where you cannot afford mistakes, right? So most of the times, how we see AI is more of a complementary, incremental kind of like complementary, I would say, a value add to a product itself, right? For example, like, let's just take, because I've been big on prediction markets, like Polymarkets, they do like, they use AI to summarize kind of like results itself, right? With a like 74% accuracy. But that's like complementary. It doesn't kind of touch on their actual product itself. So to me is, if you're implementing AI, you have to know whether or not this will actually improve your business or it's going to hurt you. And if you can't afford that risk, then don't do it. It's going to be worse for you. So that's my opinion of how you should look into AI.
Jay, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I think Daryl pretty much summarized everything that is pretty important, right? I think, if you look at how AI is implemented in Web3, a lot of it is not really, I would say, investable stuff, right? Because you look at the entire AI supply chain, what is at the bottom of the funnel, right? Compute, followed by data, training, inference, and then risk, right? So it's really saturated at the compute layer, right? You don't want to invest in another, GPU marketplace. You don't want to invest in another, ChatGPT wrapper, stuff like that, right? So it really ties back to what Daryl mentioned, right? How AI is actually used, what are the use cases, whether it generates any value for, all stakeholders, rather than just trying to force, a hype narrative in the Web3. Yeah.
So right now it sounds like there are more opportunity in the infrastructure layer, computing power, etc., but not actually like an interface or interactive level with AI. Can you guys share some of what your portfolios that's working on this direction? Yeah, or some use cases. Wants to start first?
Okay. So right now, I think, like I said, mine in AI and crypto is mostly DeFi AI. So for example, one of them, they use AI to kind of, I would say, simplify payment rail networks between, I think it was USD and euros. Basically, what they do is that they connected the APIs of the banking rails itself, and then also connected to stablecoin network. So what they do is that if you want to basically transfer like fiat, right? Instead of having to go through like the SWIFT network, what they do is that it's a very simple interface. Just key in like 1,000 USD or whatever, and then just put in like whatever euros you want to send. What it does is on the back end, the AI basically just takes your stables, convert it to whatever currency itself, and then go back to the fiat banking rail, and then transfer it automatically to whoever's bank account, and that's all kind of like done seamlessly, just like that. Kind of like Swift, but it's not, because it's kind of instant itself. So that's one example where they've kind of used AI to kind of simplify the whole user interface process, which usually it takes, I think they've calculated it was about 30 to 40 clicks just to kind of get the entire thing down, all the way down to just like 3 clicks. So that's an example of how AI could kind of enhance payment rail networks. And I think I've kind of given another example earlier, which is the yield aggregator company itself, where they use AI algorithms to kind of find and optimize the best yield for your stablecoins, right? And kind of optimize the risk for you as well. So I think these are two I can say, yeah.
Right. So if you look at the entire AI supply chain, I like to look at the inference layer because, as mentioned, the compute layer and the data layer is already pretty saturated. Right. So when we're looking at inference layer, we're looking at things like ZK, ML, TE, may seem like buzzwords as well, right? But if you think about how companies are integrating AI and such technologies into their workflow, right? Because a lot of times companies don't really trust the AI model itself to run the entire process, right? They don't trust AI to do governance, control the flow of money, do compliance checks, stuff like that. So if you integrate some of these ZK ML products inside, right, it sort of gives like the users and the deploys in the company to understand what the AI is doing and trust what this AI is doing as well, right? So if you tie in trust with AI workflow, it sort of creates more of a defensible mode, right? So there's one area that we're looking at. Although a lot of projects in this area are still very nascent and in R&D stage, I would say, right? And another thing we're looking at is the agentic ecosystem as well, right? But of course not like generic agentic platforms because there's so many of them, right? We are looking more of agentic projects with specialized rails, right? SDKs that allow agents to be composable across various ecosystems, as well as agents that are made specifically for a vertical in particular, right? For example, like DeFi, stuff like that, rather than just general agents, because there's like so many of these projects out there. Yeah.
Ellen, before we got to you, I actually want to do a quick reality check on agentic space. How smart are these agents actually right now? Like for me, it's not very smart yet. Yeah, but you guys are still like betting on this direction.
Yes. So as mentioned previously, general agents are not very effective, I would say, right? But rather, we are looking at agents that are processing a specific vertical. For example, DeFi. If you look at like Hey and Non, stuff like that. Of course, we're looking for better projects, I would say, because we don't want to invest in projects that are launched on, pump fund and stuff like that, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of questions to be asked, right? The industry is still very new, and but this is one of the more exciting areas within AI crypto, if you want to, get it.
Yeah. So Ellen, we go back to the question on your portfolio where they have good integration on AI and blockchain, and also maybe your thoughts on the agentic space as well.
Yeah, so I think, I guess in terms of a portfolio perspective, obviously there's the use case in terms of leveraging AI for, let's say, retail trading. So one startup we're engaged with is basically leveraging it for, you have different sources, right, in terms of on-chain analytics, social media, sentiment analysis, AI being used as a use case, right, to do discovery at scale and then continue to automate that workflow through the trading space. From an agentic perspective, I think we're kind of still early in terms of fully agentic autonomous agents. But I think what's interesting here is I'm seeing a lot of startups where even in the identity and access management space or like fraud and fraud analytics is that a lot of these systems are built for like humans, identify humans and what your role and your access. Now a lot of startups I think are focused on a new agentic world and how do you actually identify and then how do you combat fraud in the crypto space, which obviously is a big area.
Yeah, my next question for all of you. So what your deal flow looks like in the past, like, say, 30 days? Like, what are the founders sending to you? What are they building? Daryl, you want to start first? Or?
Sorry, you said deal flow process?
No, not more like what your deal flow looks like in the past 30 days. So we can get a sense of like what founders are trying to pitch to us right now.
Okay, so I think mostly for us right now, what we've been seeing, because we've been kind of like announcing that we're looking at DeFi AI, it's mostly around primarily focused itself. There's another one where I am very big into, which is encryption layer. Now that's very far-fetched, which is fully homomorphic encryption. There's like two sides. One thing that is going to be great, one thing that is bonkers. I'm on the side that it's going to work because compute is going to be cheaper.
You mean like physical?
No, the software side. Yeah. So fully home encryption itself could, do things like, dark pools, right? And that's something that I personally believe in. In fact, I wrote a whole paper about it. So that's something that we've been seeing as well. So these are two main, focus that's into my pipeline at the moment. Yeah.
And Jay.
Right. So historically, we've been pretty much investing on the infrastructure layer, right? So I think a lot of founders out there know that we are pretty much an infrastructure fund. So a lot of deal flows that we are seeing right now still focus on infrastructure, right? L1, L2s, even if it's, a specific vertical like AI, most of the deal flows are also infrastructure focused, right? But for us, when we invest, a lot of times we reach out directly to specific founders because we kind of know, we have a thesis internally and sort of know like what we want to invest in specifically, right? But of course, we still welcome pitches from all founders. Yeah, but if you're asking, what kind of deal flow we are seeing, predominantly infrastructure, yeah.
Yeah, Alan, what your deal flow looks like right now?
I would say just, I'll say there's like layer 1 or purpose-built layer 1, layer 2 is like
Still building layer 1, layer 2? Okay.
on AI, yeah.
Well, okay. And they're all like, how do they position themselves to compete with the existing layer 1s and layer 2s?
Oh, how are they
How do they
competing?
position to compete with so many existing layer 1 and layer 2?
Yeah, I guess that's the challenge, and I guess the value proposition, it's basically purpose-built like for specific use cases, right, is the value proposition.
And is it AI related or not actually?
But I guess AI related in terms of like the storage of actual like data itself. And
So we still go back to the infra part. That's like where everyone is focusing on.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we can wrap up with our last question. Yeah. So what are you guys like looking forward to in the next? I feel like next year might be too long, but what are you guys looking forward to in the next 6 months, and what might be the trends that's like coming up that we should be paying attention to? Jay, you have to start first.
What are we looking forward to the next 6 months, as in terms of investing?
the trends that might be coming up, or what you are looking forward to.
Right, yeah. So, we are seeing a lot of, I think AI is still quite a big hype, right, in the Web3 space because there's, honestly, not a lot of new narratives coming up at the moment, right? But one narrative that's pretty new as well would be the Tsai space, right? So, although Tsai is sort of questionable, right, but it is something that we are pretty excited about because it does add some value, although the projects out there at the moment don't really structure, I would say, their value proposition, right, according to what is investable, right? So this is one vertical that we're potentially looking at in the DeSci space and we're excited about. Yeah.
So is GVC looking towards this direction, or is more of your personal interest?
Yeah, so GVC is looking towards this direction as well.
Okay,
right?
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think for us, it's still around that area of DeFi AI and also a little bit on prediction markets. Right now, I think it's the current trend that we're looking at, and we have made several bets in that area. So I would say it's these three key categories itself. Yeah.
We also see a lot of predictive market. How does that work on the regulatory side?
Well, it depends, right? Are you going full decentralized or are you semi-decentralized, right? If you're going full decentralized, you can, and it's not financial advice or anything, you can circumvent regulations, right? Because everything is on-chain itself. So I think that's that. But the problem with a lot of prediction market is the Oracle bit, where you can actually game the system.
Settlement or?
Yeah, so like, for a fact, from trusted sources that for example, interest rate has increased, right, by 25 bips or 50 bips, whatever. But then some whales could kind of manipulate the Oracle, and you end up still losing, even though factually you're right. So that's one of the biggest problem itself. Of prediction markets at the moment. But on the regulatory side, I wouldn't see it as a big issue itself because it's more in how you're positioning your project. Like I said, it's fully decentralized or not. Yeah.
Thank you. And Alan?
Yeah, I think just kind of echo AI for DeFi, AI for DePIN, but I think what was really exciting is leveraging AI as the discovery engine for industry deals and protocols.
Okay, so still on the infra and DeFi level. Okay, cool. Yeah, thank you guys for the chat today, and thank you everyone for being here. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.